From MNT-EC, the Micro Nano Technology Education Center, this is Talking Technicians, the podcast about technicians, who they are, what they do, and where they come from. I'm your host, Peter Kazarnoff. I teach technicians and engineers at Portland Community College. In each episode, you'll meet a working technician and hear their story. That means real interviews with real technicians about real jobs. At the end of each episode, you'll hear actions you can take if you want to be a technician too. In this episode, you'll meet Laury. Laury is a senior control engineer at Albireo Energy in Ashburn, Virginia, which is outside Washington, D.C. Laury, welcome to Talking Technicians.
Thanks, Peter. I'm happy to be here.
So, Laury, you're in Ashburn, Virginia, which is outside Washington, D.C. How long have you been there for, and what brought you to Ashburn?
So I've been living in Ashburn for almost 6 years now. So I am originally from West Africa, Cameroon, and I just transferred from West Africa directly to Ashburn. I came here to continue my studies in engineering. So that's what brought me here.
And Laury, you work as a senior control engineer at Albireo Energy. Could you explain a little bit about what is a senior control engineer, and then a little about Albireo Energy?
Exactly. Of course. So as a senior control engineer, I take care of everything that's what we call building automation. As we know, most of our building, like electrical or mechanical and cooling, are controlled by these small devices like the thermostat or something like that. So it is my responsibility to make sure that those devices are working appropriately. But I do that for larger scales building, like data centers, right? I work particularly with data centers. And in data centers, we have a bunch of equipment, a bunch of electrical and mechanical equipment. And on a day-to-day basis for me is to make sure that all my electrical monitoring system, power monitoring systems are working as intended. So we give the operator an ability to have a broad view of the building just by looking at one screen. So just by sitting at their desk, they can actually control or know what is happening in which in different part of the building at a time. And I think that makes their job easier. So that's what my job is to make sure that they have that visibility and that there's nothing that can stop them from doing that.
So, Laury, could you explain a little bit about what is a data center, and then why do you need to worry about things like heating and cooling specifically in them? Why is that important?
Oh, of course. So we all use TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the internet, everything is on the cloud, like we say. And everybody thinks, oh, the cloud is in the sky. But no, the cloud is not in the sky. The cloud is in the data center. And I live in Ashburn, Virginia. In Ashburn, Virginia, there's this Loudoun County Parkway that is also called Data Center Alley that houses more, like the largest population of data centers in the world right now. It's all in Ashburn, Virginia. So data centers are pretty much these, huge buildings that houses thousands and thousands of servers that we also call the cloud, where all of our information, whether it be Facebook, Google, Instagram, or our school information, medical information, bank information, all those things are housed there in those different buildings, across Ashburn, Virginia, and other parts of America and the world as well. So the reason why we worry about electricity and cooling in the data center is because in order for those servers to work, we need electricity. They need power in order for them to be active and all that, and they need 24/7 power, because guess what, internet doesn't go to sleep. We don't go to sleep, so internet doesn't go to sleep. So we need constant power, uninterruptible power. And those servers, as they're being powered all day long on a 24/7, 365-day basis, they also release a lot of heat. In order for us to make sure that they are cooled appropriately, we have what we call our HVAC equipment. We use our computer room air conditioning or computer room air handler and chillers, air cooled chillers or water cooled chillers, in order for us to provide cooling to the server and make sure that they do not get damaged by heat, or that they don't turn off because they are overheating. So that's the reason why we do electrical and mechanical. That's the reason. That's how or why we use electricity and cooling in data centers. Make sure the internet is alive 24/7.
So part
Yeah.
of your work is keeping all the internet alive and even keeping this podcast episode posted up in the cloud so folks can listen to it. That's pretty neat.
Exactly. Thank you.
So, how did it feel like your first day of work? This sounds fairly complicated. What did it feel like the first day that you worked for Albireo Energy?
I will talk about my previous work experience where I worked as a data center operation engineer at Digital Realty. That was my very first day, stepping inside into the industry as, a data center engineer. So the first day was pretty stressful. I'm going to say that just because I just, didn't know what data center, I mean, I had a pretty good idea from, learning in college what data center was, but then here you are, stepping into this huge building, and all you see is these rooms and rooms and rooms of servers, and then huge electrical equipment. I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember looking at my coworkers, performing an electrical switching, which is something that we do on a regular basis in a data center, on UPSs and switch gears. And I was so afraid. I was like, oh my gosh, what if one of these buttons, just popped? What if there's an eye flash? What if there's this? What if there's that? So I was just super, I would say, nervous. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And remember, everything in a data center is critical. The simplest button, the simplest thing that you can touch can create, a loss of thousands and thousands of dollars. So I was always super aware of my surrounding because I was scared of making an error, touching the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. So I would say it was a pretty stressful first day. But, over the years, I got pretty comfortable working in the data center, and now I know my way around the data center and critical equipment as well.
Yeah, so how does it feel now after those first kind of nervous days? How do you feel when you go into work now?
Oh, I feel great. Over the years, I was able not only to gain experience, but also confidence, around my job, learn the different safety requirement, or, personal protective equipment that I can use, or just how to protect myself around electricity, right? And also what and what not to touch in your data center. I got from, being nervous of standing in, a data center electric room, to actually teaching people about how to, walk and operate in an electrical room. I would say over the years, I think I've had a great experience so far. We never stop learning. I am still learning, right? But so far, I am pretty comfortable with doing my job and also doing it safely.
Could you provide us with a ballpark salary for somebody who works in one of these data centers after they're at community college? What can somebody expect to earn?
Yes. So right after community college, usually, somebody who just comes out of there will start as a salary at, like, $35 to $40 an hour, which is a great salary. Which is a great salary after only 2 years of community college. I think that's awesome. I was surprised that when I had to make that much money, right? While still being in college, because I started working while I was still in college, because the demand is high in the data center industry. They are looking for people, and more importantly, they're looking for qualified people, to take over the role of taking care of this data center. As you know, everything nowadays is going towards the cloud. Everything is going on the internet. So more and more of these data centers are being built, and more positions are opening up. And we have less people to work in those data centers, because not a lot of people, not only not a lot of people are aware of those. also we also don't have a lot of qualified people. So coming outside of a community college and being qualified to work in a data center, somebody can easily make a $40 an hour as an entry level salary.
So,
Yeah.
Laurie, that's a pretty amazing starting wage after being in community college to make
Yes.
$35 or $40 an hour. Are there other things that go along with that, benefits, things like healthcare or retirement?
Of course, of course. A lot of these data center companies, they're not just, data center companies. They are actually real companies. They offer real career paths, right? Not only they give you a pretty good salary at the beginning, they also offer you healthcare, vacation plans, maternity and paternity leave, 401k, which is important. And some of them even offer you a stocks, right? They offer you sign-on bonuses and also stocks at a reduced price if you want to, contribute in the company stock options. And also you have a good career path. The one thing I really liked about working in a data center is the fact that you have a pretty clear career path ahead of you. You know where you're going. You just need to work hard enough and put in, and be dedicated to learning, because working in a data center is an ongoing learning experience. As long as you work hard and you're dedicated to learning, you would definitely grow up that ladder pretty fast.
Could you describe a little bit about maybe the first couple rungs on that ladder when you start out after community college? Where would you go from there?
Yes, of course. I like taking experience, example of myself. Uh, I I so I started out as a junior data center facility engineer or operation engineer, and then after a year, I was promoted to a senior engineer. Just by my hard work and dedication. And then I think 2 years from there, I was a lead facility engineer, where I was, taking care of my own buildings at the time, being able to train new people coming in and all those stuff. And then if I had stayed with my old company, now I would have been working my way to like a more management role, a management role. But I decided to switch my career from operations, from doing data center operation or critical facility engineer, to now a controls engineer, which is still in a data center. It's just a different path.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then as a senior, now I'm a senior control engineer, which means I'm still growing and I still have the ability to grow even in my new career path.
And do you work an hourly shift type schedule, or do you have a 9 to 5 kind of schedule?
So in the data center industry, it's usually an hourly shift schedule, because we are 24/7, especially in data center engineering, facilities engineering. We are 24/7 operation. So we work on a shift schedule, and it's like 24/7. Some people work at night, some people work in the evening, and others work during the day. So, and usually, we try to give, I think management try to give, allocate schedule based on people's availability. Yeah. And I
So,
think it's great too, because I'm so sorry I cut you. So I think it's great because when I started working in a data center, I was going to school full time and I was working full time. So I was going to school during night and I was working during the day. So that allowed me to be able to juggle the two at the time, being able to go to work full time and still go to school. And I did that for 2 years until I graduated with my associate degree. So I think that's a great opportunity too for somebody who has a little bit of a technical background and is able to get that job but still want to pursue education. They can do that as well.
yeah, so let's shift gears then and talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now. We're just talking about going to community college. Can you talk a little bit about how did you find the community college and the program that you were going into?
Oh, yes, that's a great question. So like I said earlier, I come from Africa. So when I came here, I wanted to continue my studies in engineering. I already had a bachelor in physics, but I just didn't know how I was going to use that here in the United States. And at the time, I also didn't know English. So I was enrolled at the community college and taking English ESL classes, English as a second language. And while I was working there, I was also working as a security officer for one of these data center, and that's how I learned about data center. I didn't know anything about them. And then as I was working as a security officer for a data center, I got pretty familiar with, I mean, I got curious. I got curious about what a data center was, and I knew that there was people called engineer on staff. But so I started asking them questions. What do you do? What can I do? How can I do this? How can I do this? So they were like, oh yeah, you can join. You can, maybe learn some few skill, do an apprenticeship program, and then get some hard skill that you can, apply here. But not far after that, I was on Facebook. I saw an ad for Northern Virginia Community College, and they were promoting their new data center operation program. So I was like, oh yes, this is what I need to do. So that's how I went. I was already at Nova, but I was doing something else. I was just doing English. So I went back to Nova and asked more questions about it, and I decided to enroll in the program. I think I was a second promotion. Yes, it was pretty new at the time. So I decided to enroll in the program, and that's how I got into it.
And you mentioned that while you were at community college, you actually got a job even before you graduated. How did that happen?
Yes, sir. Like I said earlier, the demand is pretty high. 2 months after I enrolled in the program, so the good thing about doing the data center program at Northern Virginia Community College is that they have, not only they give you like a pretty good understanding of what a data center is, and how to work in a data center. They give you pretty good experience. They also connect you with industry partners. So we have tours. You have days where we can go and tour data centers. We can actually meet people. We do a lot of networking. So during one of those networking events with Digital Realty, I met people that actually were pretty interested in me, and asked me to actually apply with them. And that's how I was able to secure a job with Digital Realty only after 2 months of joining the data center program. So pretty much as I learned on the job side while I was still learning at school. That's pretty much what happened with me.
So, Laury, you mentioned you started taking ESL classes at the community college, and then you moved on to this more technical program. What was the
Mhm.
hardest part of school for you?
I think the hardest part of school for me was having to handle being full time at school and full time at work, because I was taking night classes and I was working in the morning. I ended up having 4 hours of sleep for almost 2 years, because I really wanted to get that my degree done. I really wanted to have to get out of it pretty fast so I can focus more on work. So I was taking more classes than necessary. Um, but it was really hard to be able to be full time both in both ways. And another thing was also the fact that uh, at at Nova they do have a small data center replica that they use to train us on how to do some technical stuff, technical things in a data center. And what they had, the equipment they had, were pretty much different from what I had at my job during the time. So I'm learning something at school, which is not necessarily different. It's the same. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's pretty much the same procedure, but applied differently on two different type of equipment. So I had to learn that one at school and then learn this part at work and understand that, okay, this is for work and this is for code. This is totally different. So I would say like, time, and also just making, I would say computerize, I don't know how to say that in English, like just dividing my brain to understand and separate both of them, like differentiate school and work at the time was a challenge as well.
That
Yeah.
sounds incredibly busy, working full time and going to school full time, and then doing that for a year and a half. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. All of that hard work. So, how did your life change? What was different when you went from working in security to working in a technical job on the inside of the data center?
Oh wow, there was a big change. There was a big change. Um, Especially in my professional, life. The big change was the fact that I received a lot more exposure. I received a lot more exposure, not only in my company, but also in the data center industry as a whole. You know, if you're familiar with data centers, with the data center industry, you will know that we do not have a lot of minorities in the data center industry. So me being one of the first woman to actually attend the program at Nova and actually graduate from it, I received a lot of exposure. A lot of people were like, oh, wow, that's really great that you're doing it. I received a lot of encouragement. I had a lot of mentor throughout the way, people that I didn't know, I knew nothing about them. And then they just reached out to me and then they wanted to mentor me and they wanted to talk to me and they helped me grow in my career. And I did a lot more. And I also noticed that the data center industry is not just about data center. It's also about serving the community. So I got involved with a lot of volunteer work, serving the community during the holiday seasons and also, outside of the holiday season, doing backpacking for school when school is about to start, packaging back and all that with my data center industry community. We were not only just focusing on the technical side of it and keeping the internet alive, we also were working towards, keeping our community happy, making sure that we are bringing more people into the industry, making sure that we're putting ourselves out there and passing on the message that, okay, working in a data center is not just a job, it's actually a career that you can do. So my life changed in that way. Like I became a lot more active with, with activities, not just in my personal life, but also with the community and also my career as well.
And Laurie, you went to community college, and while you were there, you worked in the data center, and then you slowly grew your career, and now you're teaching sometimes at the community college. Can you talk a little bit about that journey? Why did you decide to come back and teach?
Okay. Yes, that's a great question. The reason why I decided to come back and teach is because I always believe in giving back to the community. The data center industry has done a lot for me. Going to school at Nova Community College, I paid only one semester of all my time there. The rest of them was I was awarded scholarships by a lot of data center, organizations, and that was one of the reasons why I also inserted myself in community work and volunteering and all those things. And I felt like for me, and I also another thing is I felt the need to bring more minorities and women in data center engineering. And for me, my way of doing that was to be able to teach, because teaching is not just holding a class, it's also holding someone's hand while they're going for their first interview, helping them writing that resume, prepping them for this and that, giving them tips, and that was my way. So teaching for me is not just standing in front of the class and giving a lecture. It's actually looking at my students and seeing them progress throughout the years. I have a lot of people that I didn't necessarily teach, but I was able to help during their journey into joining the data center industry. And today, when I look at them, I'm really proud of where they started and where they are now. And my goal is just to continue to bring on more minorities in the data center industry and help people, whoever that is, to just go from nothing like I was to actually something, to building a career into that industry, knowing going from doing nothing or knowing nothing to actually having a career and being a lead or manager or whatever. And tomorrow, 5 or 10 years from now, I'll be really happy to know that I was part of their story, just like other people were part of my stories as well.
Laurie, that's really inspiring that you want to come back and that you want to help mentor other folks so that they can get into the industry just like you did. What would you sort of say to other coworkers to encourage them to work more with community and technical colleges. Finding faculty for these kind of technical areas can be difficult, and we really want to make sure that we've got experts just like you that come back and work in the classroom. What would you say to folks who work in the data center industry about teaching at community colleges?
Um, I think I would just encourage them. I think we're currently working to expand the data center program with Northern Virginia College. I'm actually working part of that. I'm actually part of that project to expand the data center program on a national level, on more of a national level, so that it's not just ending here in Northern Virginia, but we can have it in Chicago, Dallas, Texas, anywhere around the United States. And we're actually looking for more people that are willing, to get trained to teach in community colleges, teach data centers and give, you know, maybe give their own way. I mean, give their own understanding of what a data center is to more people, and also support and mentor those students, from the school, from the classes to the industry. So we're actually looking for more people to do that. So the only thing I can say to my coworkers or other people in the industry is to join in. We're still looking for people. The industry is growing, and there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there that do not know about the industry. So we are still putting out the word out there to bring on more people, and also give everybody an opportunity, give everybody an opportunity to work in a data center. Yeah.
So, Laury, what advice would you give current students or people who want to transition careers and work in your industry?
I would say go for it. I would say go for it. I love working in a data center. Working in a data center has done tremendous things in my life. And I know right now I'm talking about data center engineering, I'm talking about electrical, mechanical, but it doesn't just stop at that. It doesn't just stop at that. Data centers have more career paths than just engineering. We have HR, we have marketing, we have, everything that you can think of. It's a whole industry. We have sales engineer, we have all those things. So to anybody who wants to join the industry, I would just say go for it. Whatever it is that you like doing, just do your research and find your sweet spot and follow it, because this is where the world is going. We're all going towards the cloud, so let's all go towards it.
So, Laurie, kind of to wrap up, do you have a final call to action for anybody listening to this podcast? What's maybe a next step somebody could take?
Okay. A final call to action would probably be for the women out there that are maybe apprehensive to join, um, STEM's field or technical careers. I just want to say, I'm doing it. I know you can too. I know sometimes it can be intimidating, but, I feel like you just have to put it in your head that you can do anything, and also put your mind to it, and you will do it. And we are looking for you. We want you to join the industry. We need more women, we need more diversity, we need more of those. And then if you need anything, or if you want to join the data center program and you are in the Virginia or Washington DC area, you can always come to Northern Virginia Community College. We do have a data center program there. And they will lead you, they will tell you what to do, they will give you resources, and they will connect you to industry partner, and you will be able to join the industry. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
Well, Laurie, thank you so much for sharing your story and your passion about your work and bringing more women and more different voices into the data center industry. Like, I'm just really touched with both your passion for this and how you want to reach out to all of these different people so they can share in that success. So thank you so much for being on Talking Technicians.
Thank you so much, Peter, for letting me share my story.
All right, please keep in touch.
Yeah, I will.
Talking Technicians is produced by MNT-EC, the Micro Nano Technology Education Center, through financial support from the National Science Foundation's Advanced Technological Education Grant Program. Opinions expressed on this podcast do not necessarily represent those of the National Science Foundation. Join the conversation. If you are a working technician or know someone who is, reach out to us at info@talkingtechnicians.org. We're always looking out for great guests to share more stories with you.